Alright, today we're going to be tearing down an engine and showing what all goes into it, how it works, and why this one failed. The first thing we're going to do is remove the camshafts, that way we can remove the heads and inspect the pistons. The engine might turn over a little bit, but you should be able to loosen this bolt. If this engine jumps time, it doesn't matter. This engine's not rebuildable, and it came out of an Explorer, but this engine actually jumped time. That's what was wrong with it. I'll show you what happened when it did. Now that we got the cam gear off, we can remove the cam itself. There's I take that back, there's 8 10mm bolts that hold the cam caps on. Take them off and the cam should just come right out. Should be able to just lift the cam right out. We got all the bolts out. Yep. All that's junk now. You always want to inspect your cam journals and make sure that there's no scoring or scratching. There might be some light scrape marks, but as long as you can't catch your fingernail on it, it should be good. Same way with the cam lobes. This one looks bad, but it's just dirty. Now with the cams out, we can inspect the valve train and see if there's any signs of wear and talk about how this valve train works. The cam sits in these journals here, and as it spins, the lobes on it will hit these. They're called roller followers. And when it hits it, it'll hit the valve, push the valve in, and then it'll suck in the air from the intake side. Then as the cam does another 180 degrees, the exhaust valve will hit, or the exhaust roller follower will hit and let the exhaust out of the exhaust port. And this here is your timing chain. This is attached to the cam. It's keyed to the cam, so it keeps in perfect time with your crankshaft. If it goes off by one tooth, your engine will be out of time and it'll run really bad or it won't run at all. And in the case of this engine, the valves will hit the pistons as the engine's not in time anymore. Next thing we're going to do is remove the front cover and the crankshaft position sensor and the harmonic balancer in order to get to the jack shaft that runs the two camshafts. That way we can remove the timing sets in order to pull the cylinder heads off. Now with the front cover off of this 4-liter single overhead cam Ford engine, we can see how the timing system works on this engine. You have a chain that goes from the crankshaft to a jack shaft, and the jack shaft goes clockwise to the driver's side head and counterclockwise to the back of the passenger side head. So in order to do a timing job on this engine, you have to pull the engine out because there's no way to get this timing chain cassette out with the engine still in the vehicle. So kind of a stupid design, a lot of failures. That's how I wound up with this engine. But we're going to go ahead and pull the jack shaft out, the timing chain tensioners, and the guides so we can pull the heads off. Now that we got all the timing stuff out of the way and the chains unhooked, we can remove the cylinder heads. This engine has a weird design cylinder head bolt. I don't know if you can tell too well, but it's a T50. And then down here, there's one up here and one above it. It's an inverted Torx. So if you ever do a 4-liter single overhead cam engine, make sure you have those tools. There's a lot of bolts on this engine that are weird like that. Now with the cylinder heads off, we can see why this engine failed. If you can see right here, that's where a valve has hit the piston. Get your fingernail on it. And same thing happened in this cylinder here. And it might not look like much, and the pistons, although they're marked, they're not damaged. But what is damaged is the valves and the head. So what happened is the valves, 2 valves hit the pistons, one on each piston. When that happened, it bent the valves. And with the valve bent, it can't seal. Therefore, there's no compression in these 2 cylinders. So the engine was running on 4 cylinders and it was running very rough. And that all started from a failed timing chain. But that's enough for this video. If you like, comment, and subscribe, I'll have a part 2 where we're going to tear apart the lower end, the bottom end, the connecting rods, pistons, girdle, crankshaft, and explain how all that works.